not a huge change as the defense wrapped its case here, June. Not a huge change with what we had seen yesterday with Robert Costello, for instance. But tell us the significance of this moment now that we've seen both sides have their say.
Well, I think the prosecution actually made some good points and did an aggressive cross of Costello. So I don't know what, how the jury's viewing it, but I think one thing that you have to remember is he's the last witness. The defense put on 2 witnesses, and he was really the only witness of substance. And the jury's going to go home for how many days now until Tuesday with that on their mind. So I think the defense sort of went out with a whimper. But remember, the defense only needs 1 juror in order to hang up the jury, and that's probably what they're thinking, and their whole approach has really been to attack the credibility of the state's star witness, Michael Cohen. The prosecution, on the other hand, has been trying to pump up his testimony and use documents and texts and other witnesses' testimony to back him up. Today's jury instructions, to fight about jury instructions, and those are really the most important part of a trial, even though they're not the most interesting for the for people who are there, but they're critical. And especially in this case where there's such a conundrum about what are the federal or state tax crimes associated here to make this a felony. So that's really important.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, June, because things aren't all done and dusted at court today. At 2:15 is when this meeting on jury instruction between the judge and the attorneys is set to happen. Just what exactly is involved in jury instructions? What will we be looking for?
So jury instructions, so the jury through the witnesses saw the evidence, but how do they apply the evidence? What's the law that they'll apply the evidence with? And that's something that the judge is going to give them in the instructions. It's not going to come from, what they saw at trial. It's going to come from the judge. So it's very important. And what's happening at the charge is each side is going to try to influence the judge in what the instructions are. There are standard instructions. The judge might just use standard instructions in some of these cases. He might use something that the defense proposes, something that the prosecution proposes, or a combination of each. But it's really critical. And, in appellate procedure, when there's an appeal, a lot of times it's reversed based on the jury instructions that were given. It's always a way for, the defense to attack a verdict. It's the judge gave the wrong jury instructions. So in this case, the jury instruction on what the election crime is connected to the falsifying the business records to make this a felony is going to be critical. And everybody knows that. The judge knows that. And so I'm sure he's going to be very careful, and it's going to be interesting to see what he says, what he decides.
Interesting entourage in court today. We've seen, a who's who of Capitol Hill. We had more members of Congress there. Eric Schmidt showed up. Ronnie Jackson was there today.
Yep.
Kaylee, the former White House doctor, now a member of Congress. Dan Muser, Dale Strong, a few others. But Joe Piscopo also made his way to the courthouse today, June. And I'm just wondering, will that have any impact on the jury to see Joe Piscopo at court?
I don't think the jury is really influenced by who's coming into the court. Unless Melania Trump came to the courtroom, I think that would be an impact, considering what the case is about and her connection to it. That would be an impact, but I don't think they're influenced by any of these people that come into the courtroom and sit there. I know that the reporters who are covering the trial are perturbed that these people are coming in and getting seats when they're a lot of times are waiting on line for hours. They get there at 5 in the morning or whatever to get seats because there are only a certain number allocated. Even the overflow room is overflowing. So I know that the reporters are not happy about it. I doubt the jurors pay any attention.